Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, if you guys have any question, you guys can see the slides or not? You can see a slide, can give me a thumbs up, please. I got somebody who cannot see the slides. All you can see, okay, all you can see. If you cannot see the slide, something wrong is at your side. You need to adjust the viewing. Okay. All right. Now let's take a look at the first question. All right. Okay, so first question. Use a pencil to draw the life cycle of mosquito using only words and arrow. Okay, this was last year paper. Yeah, give me a second. All of you can see, right, the slides? Okay, good. Okay, so what is the topic tested in this question? Number one, the life cycle, right? Topic on life cycle, P3 and 4, topic on life cycle, and man's impact on the environment. So with this question, they're combining two topics, life cycle and man impact on the environment. Okay, so specifically, you need to know what is the meaning of life cycle, what are the characteristics of insects, and the concept of global warming. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one. Use a pencil to draw the life cycle of mosquito using only words and arrow. Please do not draw the mosquito. Okay. Okay, so egg stage, then larva stage, pupa stage, and the adult mosquito. So make sure when you draw the arrow, you must have the arrow head. All right, and state one characteristic of the adult mosquito that classify it as an insect. Okay, so it has 6 legs or 3 body parts or a pair of feelers. Okay. Now, John studied the effect of temperature on the life cycle of mosquito. So his findings are shown below. Explain how global warming will affect the life cycle of mosquito and the number of adult mosquito. All right. So here you can see the graph. As the temperature decreases, the number of days for one complete life cycle will decrease. So that means the higher the temperature, the egg will turn into an adult mosquito in a shorter period of time, right? Meaning it becomes faster and faster. So they ask you the question here, keyword, explain. Now, secondly, it's a 2-mark question. Global warming, right? How global warming, that means global warming is the phenomenon where there's a gradual increase in the earth temperature over a period of time will affect the life cycle of mosquito and the number of adult mosquitoes. So you need to link, right, the part C to part B and part E. Okay. So how you answer this, right? So looking at the graph, so you can see here, looking at the graph. Now, global warming, you should know that global warming causes the temperature of the earth to rise. So when this happens, right, it takes a shorter time, okay, or shorter days to complete one life cycle of mosquito. Hence, the number of adult mosquito will increase. So the higher the temperature, that means there will be more mosquito. So when there's more mosquito, now we know that mosquito can be harmful. Right, it can cause spread diseases, malaria, dengue, fever, and so on. Right, so this is the effect of the mosquito. Right, when the earth temperature increases, the time taken to form a complete life cycle decreases. Hence, the number of adult mosquito will increase. Right, so you need to answer the question. All right, now let's take a look at the next question, question 30. The table below shows the blood transported per minute in some parts of the body when the person is resting and jogging. Explain why there was an increase the amount of blood transported to the leg muscle. And part B, using the information given, explain how absorption of digested food is affected during jogging. Okay, so here they're testing you on the topic of, okay, every year got digestive system. So far, 2021, 2022, 2023, right? Seems like a favorite topic. So digestive system and circulatory system. Okay, so P3 and P5. Right? So they're testing you on how the digestive system and circulatory system work together in a human body. Describe the function of the human circulatory system. And thirdly, describe the function of the human digestive system. Okay, so let's analyze the data given. Now, let's take a look at the keywords here. Okay, first, part A, explain why there was an increase in the amount of blood transported to the leg muscle when jogging. So when we jog, so you can see the leg muscle, at rest, 900 units of blood transported, but when you are jogging, wow, 5 times more than 5 times, 4,700. So what is the reason? Reason being because when we are jogging, our leg muscle, right? When we are jogging, we use most our leg muscle, right? So our leg muscles will need more energy. So we need more energy means it needs more digested food as well as oxygen. So when this happens, automatically more blood will be sent to our legs so that the muscles that is working extra during jogging can receive more oxygen and digested food so that the rate of respiration in the leg muscle can increase. Okay, so that's the answer for part A. Right, the keywords here, when jogging, the leg muscles will need more energy because why? We are running, right? We're jogging, we are using more of our leg muscles. So automatically more blood will be channeled to our legs so that it can carry more oxygen and digested food to increase the rate of respiration. All right, now part B. Using the information above, explain how the absorption of digested food is affected during jogging. So then they ask you, when during jogging, so what happened to the digestive system? Right? So if you look at the digestive system, at rest, it takes 1,200 amount of blood per minute. But when we are jogging, our digestive system only absorbs 720 units of blood per minute. So that means less blood will go to our human digestive system when we are jogging. So that means, is it a good idea to jog immediately after meal? It may not be a good idea. Okay, so why? You need to explain why. So less absorption of digested food will take place during jogging. Right? Why? You can see here from the amount of blood transported, as less blood is transported to the digestive system so that our leg muscle can receive more blood for respiration. Okay, so when we are jogging, so the blood will be, instead of going to the digestive system, it will be channeled to our leg muscle, right? So that's why the amount of absorption will be lesser, right? So here they ask you explain how the absorption of the digested food is affected. So number one, you must mention, is it more, less, or remain the same? So lesser absorption of the digested food takes place during jogging, and then you need to explain why. Okay, so what's the reason? As you can see all these keywords here. So less blood will be transported to the digestive system. Why? Because the leg muscle will need more blood so that it can carry more oxygen to the leg muscles for the leg muscles to carry out respiration. Okay? So you can see how our digestive system as well as our circulatory system and in fact our muscular system work together, right, in our human body, right? Okay, now let's move on to question 31. A special dish can be used to find out how polluted the water is. Polluted water has dirt in it. Okay, so the dish is tied to a rope and lowered into water until it can no longer be seen. Yunsi used the same dish to measure the depth at which it can no longer be seen in 3 different lakes. So the results are shown below. State one variable that was changed. Explain why the results are reliable. Again, they are testing you about change variable, reliable test, and so on. And then based on UC result, identify the lake that was least polluted. Explain why. Okay, so basically this whole question, right? In general, they're testing you on the topic of man impact on the environment and light. Okay, number one, you need to know about pollution, right? What happens during pollution? Okay, and how to conduct experiment. In fact, the main focus of this question is about conducting experiment. Whether you guys know how to conduct experiment, whether you know how to interpret experimental data. Okay, how to conduct experiment and designing a fair test as well. How to ensure whether results are reliable? Just now somebody asked, right? So this we will repeat again. And then number 4, just a slide testing you on the concept of light. How come you can see the disc? Because we know that light can pass through water and can also be reflected. Why we can see the disc? Why you can see the disc? Because the light is reflected off the disc into her eyes, right? And then number 5, analyzing and interpreting the experimental data. Okay, let's take a look at the first question. State one variable that was changed. So the change variable is that the water from the different lakes. So this is the change variable, right? So he conducted experiment. So he took water from the different lakes. So this is the variable that was changed, water from the different lakes. Okay, B, explain why the results are reliable. Why is it reliable? Because the experiment was repeated more than once, right? In fact, it's repeated twice. First measurement, second measurement, and third measurement. And then also the results of the measurement are close. So you can see 345, 355, 355, right? They are not very different. So we can see that, okay, yes, we can make use of the result because the results are reliable. Why is it reliable? Because the experiment was repeated twice and the result of the experiments are very close. Okay? Okay, next one. Based on UC result, identify the lake that was least polluted. So which is the answer here? Okay, can you guys type your answer? Which lake do you think is the least polluted? Okay, type in the group chat. Which lake is the least polluted? Okay, very good. Some of you put R as an answer. Some of you put R, some of you put T. Okay, the answer is not R. The answer is not R. Okay, the answer is S. Okay, for those of you who put R, so please listen carefully. Why is the answer S? Okay, if you look at the measurement, right? The depth of the disc can be seen from the furthest distance. Okay, so the depth at which the disc can no longer be seen is the highest in when you at Lake S, right? The water from Lake S. So what does it mean? It means that it is least polluted, right? Least polluted because you can see from the furthest distance. It can drop from the furthest distance. Okay, if it is polluted, when the depth is very low, you cannot see already, right? I give you an example. You go to a swimming pool, right? When you drop something into the depth of the swimming pool, you can still see the object, right? Even though it's 1 meter and so on. Because why? The swimming pool water is very clear. But when you go to the sea, Singapore sea, very dirty one, right? You go to East Coast Park, when you drop something, you cannot see the seabed already. Even though you put your hand underneath a bit, you cannot see already. Why? Because it is very polluted. So likewise here also, right, the answer is S. Why? Because the depth of which the disc can no longer be seen is the highest. Okay, as the amount of visible pollutants are the least. So least pollutants means that you can see from the furthest distance. So why? So it means that most amount of light can pass through the water and be reflected at the disc. Okay, so you need to bring in the concept of reflection and light be able to pass in water. Okay. All right, let's move on to question 32. Okay, so this is an interesting question. Okay, on webs of life. You guys learn in webs of life in P6, right? Okay, so and adaptation as well. So number 1, they're testing you how to construct a food web, whether you know how to construct food web or not. Secondly, they're testing you about the prey-predator relationship and the different types of adaptation, right? You guys know about structural and behavioral adaptation. Okay, so firstly, food web. Right, so when you draw a food web, make sure you draw the arrow with the correct arrowhead pointing in the correct direction. Okay, let's see here. So B and C lives in water and feed on F. This arrow means F is eaten by B, F eaten by C, B eaten by E, C eaten by E, and E eaten by G. Okay, so this is correct, this part here. E lives in both land and water and eats both B and C. So E eats both B and C. So this statement is also correct. And G lives on land and feeds on E. So this is also correct because G feeds on feeds on E. Okay, so all these three statements are correct. So you can see here, they ask you to draw the footweb. So stand by, if they ask you to draw a footweb, make sure you draw the correct footweb and make sure you draw the arrow in the correct direction. Okay, now part B. Let's answer part B. Organism E builds a nest in water for shelter as shown using the footweb in A. So in the PSLE question, always part B, subsequent part is related to the earlier part. So you need to use the information given here. Suggest the advantages of the nest for the survival of E and explain your answer. Okay, now two answers. First, since E feeds on B and C, right, which lives in water. So they say that B and C live in water. So having a nest in water enable this animal E to hunt for its prey very quickly. Right? So we know that B and C live in water as mentioned in the clue here. So they say that the advantages of E feeds on B and C which live in water. So having a nest in water, right? So you can see the nest in water enables E to hunt for its prey very quickly. Okay, so that is a first part. Okay, so remember it's a 2-mark question. Now, second advantage. What is the advantage for E? As the only predator G lives on land, right? Who is the predator of E? Who feeds on E? G, right? And G lives on land. G lives on land. G cannot go to the water. So as the only predator G lives on land, so having a nest in water enables E to hide and escape quickly from its predator, which is G. So this guy very clever. This animal very clever. They build nests in water. Right? So why? Because the food is found in water, it can get food. At the same time, it can escape from its predator. So how you know all this information is all given in the question here. So that's why you must read the question very, very carefully. All right? Okay, let's move on to part question 35. Okay, so this is an application question. So Ali sprayed some hand sanitizer on his hand. State why Ali's hand become dry very quickly. Okay. You all use hand sanitizer, right? Why it becomes dry very quickly. Second part B. Ali sprayed hand sanitizer on his hand again and blow on it. Explain why his hand felt even colder than before. So what is the key concept here? You guys learned this in P5. The concepts of water. Okay, number one, they're testing on the concept of evaporation. What is evaporation? Change of state from liquid state to gas state. So this is the process of evaporation. Okay, secondly, factors affecting rate of evaporation. What are the three factors? Remember, three factors affecting rate of evaporation. Number one, temperature of the surrounding. Secondly, the exposed surface area of water. And thirdly, the presence of wind. So when we blow, so it's like as if you are introducing wind, right? This will increase the rate of evaporation. So let's answer the first question, first part. So state why Ali's hand became dry very quickly. So hand sanitizer has a lower boiling point than water, right? You put hand sanitizer, you feel very cold, right? Now, why does it feel very cold? Because it has a lower boiling point. Hence, it gain heat and evaporate very quickly, changing state from liquid to gas, causing Ali's hand to become dry very quickly, right? So that's the answer for part A. B, Ali's hand sanitizer on his hand, spray hand sanitizer on his hand again and blew on it. So when he blew, explain what happened. Why his hand felt even colder. So why? Because his hand loses heat to hand sanitizer as it was evaporating. When he blew the hand sanitizer, the rate of evaporation increased, right? Because wind or air increases the rate of evaporation. So when this happens, his hand will lose heat faster to the liquid. So this will change state to gas even faster. That's why his hand felt even colder. Okay, just like when we take a shower, for example, right? We come out from the bathroom, we felt very cold, right? Because water droplets around our body, as the water was evaporating, our body will lose heat to the water droplets that was evaporating. Then suddenly the cold wind blow. We stand under the fan. We felt even colder. Why? because the water droplets will evaporate even faster. So our body will lose even more heat to the water droplets. All right, so same concept here. All right, now let's move on to question 37. Now, Mei, okay, those of you got any question, just type in the group chat. There's no need to raise your hand. Okay, Mei cooked some vegetable using oil F on a heated pan. She measured the temperature of the pan before adding the vegetable until after the pan was washed. So the results are shown below. State the room temperature. State the time in which she put the vegetables in the pan. So this is about interpreting the data and the experiment and the graph here. So after cooking, she poured the hot oil into the sink. Oil F has a melting point of 40 degrees Celsius. Several months later, the water pipe below the sink was blocked by a solid and X. Explain why a solid was formed in the water pipe, even though the sink protector prevented the solid waste from entering. Okay, so a lot of things they're testing you here. Number one, your process skills, whether you know how to interpret graph or not. Okay, you can see experiment, so many experiment question, so many interpreting graph question. Okay, so you can expect that in the PSLE as well. So matter gain heat and lose heat when heated. Okay, so this is also the concept tested. And we also know that heat travels from region of higher temperature to a lower temperature until it reaches the same temperature. And another thing, another concept they're testing you is on the concept of melting. What does melting means? And we recall melting is a change of state from solid to liquid state. Okay, so these are all the concepts that they are testing in this particular question. Okay, let's answer the first question. Sorry, 30. All right, now let's take a look at the first question. State the room temperature. Just state the room temperature. So we know that the room temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Why? If you look at the experiment, okay, so at the end of the experiment, right, the temperature goes down all the way to 30 degrees Celsius, right, and it remains constant. So we can infer from this graph that the room temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Now state the time in which she put the vegetables into the pan. What's the time? The time is in 1 minute. Okay, let's see what happened here. All right, so Mei cook some vegetable and use oil in a heated pan. Right, so when he heat up the vegetable, right, so this is the temperature of the pan. The vertical axis shows the temperature of the pan. So when she heat up, right, so the temperature of the pan increases, right, it goes up and up and all the way until 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so she measured the temperature of the pan before adding the vegetable and after the pan was washed. Okay, so this is the point where she added the vegetable. So when you add the vegetable, there's a slight dip. There's a dip in the temperature of the pan, and then it increases again. Okay. So after that, at this point, this is where the pan was washed, right? So after cooking, the pan was washed, and then the temperature cooled down, right? So the temperature of the pan cooled down as he was washing the pan, right? The pan loses heat, and the temperature goes down, decreases all the way until room temperature. So this is what is happening in this graph here. Okay, so state at what time did she put the vegetable into the pan, which is at this point here, at the dip here, right, in 1 minute. Okay, so after cooking, she poured the hot oil into the sink. Oil F has a melting point of 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, after several months, the melting point, that means below the melting point, it becomes a solid, it will solidify. Above the melting point, it is a liquid state. Below 40 degrees Celsius, it becomes a solid, right? And we know the room temperature is 30. From the graph, part A, the room temperature is 30, right? So that means below 40 degrees, it will become a solid. So the question is why? Explain why the solid was formed in the water pipe, even though the sink protector prevented the salt waste from entering. That means when she poured the hot oil, it was still at liquid state, right? So the liquid state, the oil can manage to go through the oil protector, but after it cooled down below 40 degrees Celsius, it will start to solidify. When it becomes solid, that's where it becomes stuck. Okay, stuck. Then that is why it caused the block. All right. So how to answer this question? So when poured through the sink protector, the hot oil was in liquid state, as the temperature was above the melting point, which is 40 degrees Celsius. As the oil passed through the water pipe, over time, right, it will lose heat and freeze to form solid, right? So when this happens, that's why it will block, it will cause the water pipe to be blocked, because the oil has solidified. It becomes a solid state, okay? So you can see here the concept of melting and freezing. All right, let's move on to the next. We are done already. Okay, good. Okay, we are done for this paper. Oh, it's ready. Sorry, it's ready 1:15. Right, now those I will leave about 10-20 minutes. If you guys have any question, please type in the group chat.